Keep the home fires burning while your hearts are yearning.
This month, the Adler Gallery hosted an exhibit commemorating the U.S. entry into World War I. It's the 100th anniversary. And what we decided to do was collaborate with various museums and historical societies to showcase editorial and artistic efforts on the home front. Included in this exhibit are 15 poster reproductions on loan from the U.S. Army Heritage Museum and Education Center in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Within weeks of the United States entering the war in 1917, the Society of Illustrators met in New York City. They wanted to find a way that artists might assist in the war efforts. And under the leadership of Charles Dana Gibson, its members launched what became the Division of Pictorial Publicity. And it was part of the Committee on Public Information created by President Woodrow Wilson. It was charged with designing posters such as these that would encourage patriotism and sacrifice on the home front. And from the very start of this project, the Philadelphia Sketch Club, with some of the most famous artists in America as members, was well positioned to be at the center of the Division of Pictorial Publicity's war poster campaign. And this is what you see on display here. We have these great posters from artists and illustrators such as Howard Chandler Christie, Joseph Pinnell, Charles Buckles Falls, and you really get a sense of their patriotism and the banding together of artists for the greater good. This poster in particular is very exciting for us. Titled, "Gee, I Wish I Were a Man, I'd Join the Navy." It's by the illustrator Howard Chandler Christie. And what's fascinating is that the model in this poster is a port resident, and her name was Isabel Rogers. And she modeled for Christie in this poster, and we believe in one of the other posters on display here, the other one being titled, "I Want You for the Navy." And what's interesting is that later on, around the 1970s, she was actually awarded an honorary certificate and plaque by the U.S. Navy Recruiting Command for the role she played in recruitment for the work that she did for Christie. Another feature of this exhibit comes to us from the World War History and Art Museum in Alliance, Ohio. And what we have here are several newsprints from about 1914 through 1918. And these chronicle the outbreak of World War I, using bold banner headlines in their newspapers from the Decatur Herald and the Decatur Review. And this is actually a small portion of a much larger collection from the museum. They have up to about 300 of these newsprints, various titles, various events, which was part of their exhibit called Rumors of War. Also, what we have here, which is really exciting, and this is the first time we've offered it in the Adler Gallery, we have digital exhibits as well, and this is an interactive display with 4 online exhibits from the National World War I Museum and Memorial in Kansas City, Missouri. And what's great about this is that patrons can interact with these really interesting exhibits, such as volunteers, Americans who joined World War I. We also have a great online exhibit of war art, which really plays into the rest of the exhibit, talking about these artistic endeavors during the war. Keeping with this theme of artistic efforts, we have original sheet music and songbooks on loan from the Freeport Historical Society. One such being "Keep the Home Fires Burning," a very popular song during that time. And music was a very important tool. It was used as propaganda during this time. And songbooks were often distributed in movie theaters because they wanted to encourage this idea of patriotism. Singing songs in the home, this was all encouraged during the war. Some other interesting items in this collection is this World War I Presidential Wound Certificate from 1919, and it was awarded to a port resident, Charles J. Buckner, and he was Private Company C, 165 Infantry. And this comes to us from one of the members of the VFW, Henderson Marino, which incidentally is named after two soldiers who fought in the war, and they were from Port Washington, John Michael Marino and William E. Henderson. We were also very fortunate to acquire several of these artifacts that would have been what a soldier during World War I would have carried with them. We have a World War I coat or blouse coat, and this also comes to us from the VFW. We were also very fortunate to have collected several of these items, artifacts that have been lent to us from various residents in town. Also, again, the VFW, Henderson Marino. What we have here in this case are items pertaining to what a soldier would have carried with him while he was at war, what he would have worn at the time, such as a helmet, gas mask, a canteen, a bayonet, a soldier's pack, mess kit, a small handheld Bible that would have been given to the soldiers to carry with them. One of the most interesting items, I think, is this original notebook by Sergeant Walter A. DeLappe. And he was an official stenographer, and what he did was he would take meticulous notes in the field. And it's fascinating to see what the soldiers were going through at this time. I mean, everything from weather conditions to potential hazards, all mapped out here in this original notebook. It's really interesting to see firsthand what they would have been going through and what would have been going through their minds at this time. Thank you so much for joining me on this gallery walkthrough. I'm Vanessa Nastro from the Port Washington Public Library Local History Center.
Keep the home fires burning.